insane for a player like Sandstorm. Coming in here, of course, with the Arcadia that we saw from him previously. Now, he does have a couple other legends that he is looking to play today. He told that to me earlier, which was really nice. I really appreciate that. Hoping to play solo Arcadia, but then he also has a Tesca and a Mirage as the other picks. Of course, the Mirage over the Mordex. Why? Probably because of that spear.
Yeah, his spear has been looking very good. Now you're seeing him, of course, on that Arcadia. Those down sigs have been so effective on those edge guards. Raydish actually started this off really strong. He even got that down sig on the corner, but he was not able to convert that into a KO. One thing that works well for Raydish, though, against Sandstorm with these down sigs is I think he has a little bit of a stronger air-to-air horizontal pressure than some of the other people Sandstorm has run into today.
So one thing that Raydish was having a little bit of trouble with in his previous set was when he was forced onto the gauntlets. He was starting to struggle to find his way in. And there was one moment where like it was an entire stock where he was basically forced onto unarmed, or really onto gauntlets, and then unarmed. The second he picked up an orb, he got knocked out. Then he respawned back in and again was having a little bit of trouble finding his way in. Seems like he's not having that here. Of course, he does have the orb in hand. Gonna make sure that he has a fresh orb. He grabbed the fresh orb rather than the one that already had damage on it. His next weapon will be the gauntlet, so we'll see what happens in between now and then, because if he gets taken out here like he does, the majority of this stock could be forced on unarmed and the gauntlets.
Yeah, definitely going to be coming in here with those gauntlets. Interesting kind of change up in the playstyles, right? Like Raydish used to do that orb end sig a lot. I don't think it's going to be that effective against Sandstorm. He's not one who's been over-aggressing on those corners. Instead, he's been like sitting on the stage, throwing out those down sigs. So they're both just kind of putting out these timers to try to delay those returns to the stage.
It's very similar to the way that like Volkov players like to guard the edge with his essentially a similar, but not the exact same by any means, little trap on the corner.
Yeah, difference being that Volkov has to hold his, whereas Sandstorm can kind of throw his out. Won't have the same force dump that Volkov's does, but he can follow up with whatever option he wants to. Gets above the signature, but Raydish gets away from the punish and a side light side air. Not quite enough.
Now, I wonder what chat is saying. Like, I know some people were complaining about the down signature, but like we're seeing some signatures straight up spam come out from Sandstorm right now, and we're seeing Raydish deal with it pretty darn well.
Yeah, I mean, Raydish is definitely showing why this might not always be the most effective tactic. He's been able to handle the signatures thrown out from Sandstorm. Even when he's changing it up, he's not throwing out those down sigs. Those neutral sigs of his have
that was a nice
shut down. But yeah, that was really great. I love that challenge. He went in with a dash jump side air, didn't hit, but the GC down light covers himself, and of course, it becomes a finisher because it's the great sword.
That's one of those few moves that I'm trying to think about in the game that is a light attack that is a covering both sides for a grounded attack.
Okay.
I'm trying to think through a bunch of different moves, and I can't think of any. There may be one out there, and I'm just forgetful. But I can't think of any. Oh, great spacing there from Sandstorm, knowing to break that line of sight to get away from that neutral signature from Raydish. Like you said earlier, he hasn't really found anything with that because Sandstorm really isn't pushing himself into it hard enough. He's kind of staying back.
Oh, but the three-piece from Sandstorm, and he's back to that spear. Raydish over the gauntlets, gets the down light, but can't get the side light follow-up, and he's
that was a close one.
Traveling around the entirety of the map.
And of course, Sandstorm didn't make any. Whoa, that was rough.
He wasn't ready.
That's rough to see. But you saw Sandstorm not make any like major motion over to that edge guard. That's probably going to be the way he just like plays, period. And he has the lead here. He has been winning in neutral, though. Raydish doing a fantastic job of evening this one up. So Sandstorm might find it hard to get the knockout here. I take that back. Wow.
Wow, indeed. That was definitely a closer one than I think a lot of people expected. Like, I got to believe the viewer vote was leaning pretty heavily into Sandstorm again, that fan favorite. And I do like that Sandstorm's kind of been forced to change up, right? A lot of times against his previous opponents, he's throwing out that down stick. He's waiting for you to come in. Raydish not taking that bait. He's sitting on the outside, and he's generally challenging with an air approach. So Sandstorm's like, all right, down sig forces this air approach option. Now I'm going with a dash jump side air after I throw out that down sig.
And we're seeing a pretty much even split coming out from damage numbers between the Spear and the Greatsword. 261 on the Spear, 263 on the Greatsword from Sandstorm. So a nice even mix between those two weapons.
Raydish, though, forced a little bit more onto the gauntlets this time. He's gotten a decent amount of damage put out there, but Sandstorm reads the dodge down. That means he doesn't get the second downlight. That was a burn dodge. Sandstorm back at it with the greatsword. Sidelight connects, Raydish chasing, doesn't go for the GCN sig that he did earlier. Sandstorm manages to hold on to this stock, but Raydish catches the dodge. The delay after the sidelight leads to a recovery, and Raydish has the lead. Falling Nair.
Oh, he's able to swipe that right from under him.
Over to the spear, Sandstorm with the N-sig cleans up the stock. A little bit of damage put out from Raydish. Okay, Sandstorm denying weapons, back to the spear. We haven't seen those big strings from his spear that we were seeing in some of the earlier matches as well. Like, he was doing a great thing of like downlight side air, GC down sig, not really even seeing the opportunity for that against Raydish.
Side air coming in. Sandstorm staying wide, gets away from that Spirit Bomb. Raydish running all the way to the other side of the stage, using every bit of movement speed that the Petra has to offer. He is in a fantastic spot here, of course, leaning heavily on that orb.
So the recovery. Gonna clean up the stock for Raydish, and the lead just mounts bigger and bigger for him. Over the spear, 2 N-lights connect for Raydish, that time not even moving for it. There's that GC down sig, doesn't hit the dare. Raydish is back.
Now, unfortunately for Raydish, like, he is still adding up a great amount of damage right now, has a fantastic lead, but when he did those back-to-back neutral lights, he got the dodge. So unfortunately for Raydish, he wasn't able to like hugely string Sandstorm after he got that dodge with a neutral light into a D light and then continuing on from there.
But he's still getting these hits. He's got Sandstorm over on this left side, down light into the neutral air. Doesn't get anything off that bounce though.
Has the spear in hand, D-Light goes for the side air, setting up the edge guard because the recovery would not have KO'd off the top. That time he does go for the KO rather than bouncing off the stage. Probably couldn't have hit the bounce off the stage because it was so close to the wall that a side air might have been weird. So that's why he's probably going for the recovery there. Gets away from that neutral signature again. Raydish is unable to find that, but he doesn't get punished for it, even though it cost a dodge. Does find the KO, finds the game as well. Raydish doing a fantastic job here.
Yeah, Raydish is looking really solid against Sandstorm. Gauntlets looking good. Orb, of course, still looking amazing. 204 damage put out on the Gauntlets. 313 on the side of his orb. He was hitting those side airs. He was hitting those recoveries for KOs. And of course, he was still getting that damage built up. All right, we're getting right on into game number 3. Still no character swaps on either side.
You know, I think I'm pretty much down with that because
Okay.
I am liking the great. Of course, Raydish just won last game, so
Yeah.
it's the Petra. Really loving the Petra from Raydish. But for Sandstorm, I'm still feeling I still feel there's a little bit more in the tank on the greatsword rather than swapping over to the possible Teska. That is radically different. That he would have to like basically pick up and start running all the way from the ground floor.
Whoa!
Okay, just he's done.
Untouchable,
Yup.
0 to D. Raydish destroying Sandstorm there. This is, again, many people's GOAT of Brawlhalla. He's the person that the fans voted to win this one, and Raydish is untouchable for the Game 3 start.
He's many people's GOAT. He also just like is the GOAT. Like
Yeah.
if you have a different opinion, like I'm just telling you, you're wrong. Oh, dodges through that one. Also finds back-to-back unarmed neutral airs.
Down air actually launches Sandstorm down there. Depending on how you hit it, sorry, the down light, depending on how you hit it, will launch in different directions. Sandstorm manages to avoid that. The side air would have been fatal.
Gets the follow-up that time after hitting the trap that he missed previously. There's the side air sending Sandstorm over to the right. Dude, Raydish is incredible right now. Sidelight side air, unfortunately from the wrong side of the stage. Sandstorm just barely holding on. Barely also gets through that. The spot dodge was perfect to get through the sidelight.
Yeah, just narrowly got through there. But the recovery comes out. Raydish up 3 stocks to 1. Sandstorm, he beat the world champion to get to his spot here. And Raydish is, he's handling him.
A lot of dashes coming out. Ooh, bad spacing there from Sandstorm. Means Raydish was behind him when that sidelight came out.
Recovery, okay, denies the 3 stock over to the spear. This has been that comfort weapon for Sandstorm.
You know, at the end of the day, the way Sandstorm is like right now, where he isn't winning every single tournament in the world, I don't know if he has the comeback potential on this weapon. He almost got the stock there. Okay, maybe
yeah, keep it going, keep going.
Ain't no way.
He's
ain't
cringing
no
bad.
way Sandstorm comes back here. No shot.
Yeah, of course. He's never done anything like this before, and maybe not again, as doesn't hit the down air. Raydish on the edge guard, and Sig doesn't connect, and Raydish with another side air. He's celebrating a little early there.
A little premature there. Okay,
Ensig.
Sandstorm gets it. What I was trying to say was I didn't necessarily see the comeback potential specifically because of Spear. Not that Spear is a bad weapon, but because like when Sandstorm used to do that in the past, it was with Scythe, it was with those Scythe gimps, it was with Gauntlet gimps, it was with all of that. And we just don't ever really see that from Spear as a weapon. We see solid strings, great damage build, great utility in the kit, the edge guard from time to time, but rarely is it those like early gimps because you have so much control over where you are and where your opponent is with like Gauntlet Nair and all of the active input that Scythe has in the kit.
Yo, but we've seen the Spear players this weekend be very safe about it. He might not get it quickly, but he'll definitely get it safely. As he is doing it, he is getting this damage put out. Raydish is one Sarah away, but it's not going to be that one. Edge guard opportunity. Sandstorm goes up. Weapon toss guarantees the touch, but the neutral light closes it out. Raydish is up 2-1.
That was much closer than I expected it to be, and it was off the back of not like any one big explosive moment that was the game changer that everybody would point to, but it was just amazing neutral with this Spear showing how strong that weapon is in virtually every situation, which is like, yeah, there are people calling for like Teska nerfs, there are people calling for Katar nerfs, there are also a noticeable amount of people calling for Spear nerfs as well, which is why we're seeing so much Spear this weekend. But Raydish, man, the turnaround from Raydish, amazing gameplay so far. Again, you're seeing on the damage breakdown there, 391. Raydish is an Orb player. That's one of the reasons he is playing this legend, probably the best Orb legend. I don't really know how people are feeling about Fate right now. That would be like the only other one that I think like maybe in the conversation, but I certainly would put Petra over the Fate.
Yeah, definitely hard to argue otherwise. You don't see too many Thors, you don't see too many Dusks in that conversation. But right now, Sandstorm trying to make a conversation for a game 5 as he gets another downlight side air onto Raydish. He's adding up the damage, but Raydish is not having that explosive start that he did at the start of the last game. So this one might be a little bit tougher for him as he goes over the gauntlets.
Raydish is going to snake those weapons away from Sandstorm. He probably just did that to deny the weapon from Sandstorm, saying me on gauntlets and him unarmed is better than me with an orb and him with a weapon.
Definitely a valid idea. It's through the signature, but doesn't get punished. Raydish over to the orb. Going to be looking for side airs again, but he needs more damage as Sandstorm is one nair away from getting that stock advantage over Raydish. Edgeguard, no down 6 this time. Sandstorm's been really good at jumping high and punishing. Trap.
Oh,
recovery.
Okay, picking up the recovery. We've seen Sandstorm pick up some nice recoveries. We also saw that from a couple, I think, picked up from Alex earlier on the J Yun. So the great sword recoveries, they've been doing some work today, despite the frame data that is not super favorable on startup for that move.
Yeah, it doesn't have the best startup, but it does have a great hitbox and a lot of force behind it. Raydish, there you see in that Endlight nerf, right? A lot of the the Gauntlet players, the second they saw those patch notes, the second that it dropped, they were like, look at this Endlight, I can't KO at 130. Oh my god.
Every single person, I still can't get over how like gloom and doom. This is the Gauntlet apocalypse. This weapon is nerfed into the ground and never worth playing again. That was so funny, the reaction from Gauntlet players out there.
Yo, but Raydish still managed to get that KO with the Gauntlet Endlight, but right now it's Sandstorm who's looking for another KO. He's gotten so much damage put out with the Spear. The Ensig is going to take out Raydish, and Raydish is down to his final stock here.
Sandstorm clutch factor coming into play here with solid neutral, solid weapon denial, great trap usage, of course, the D-Sig that we saw many times in this set, many times in previous sets, even on twitter.com/GD Sandstorm.
One thing that's going to be really, really tough for Raydish here is he's still a young guy. He's a new player. He does not have the experience that Sandstorm has, and it means that when you're in this pressure cooker situation, like, it's going to be harder to handle as Sandstorm is getting ready to go into game 5. He hits the Ensig, and now the pressure is on Raydish.
That was a 2-stock that he just picked up. The very, very command performance coming out from Sandstorm, showing why probably a lot of people in chat bet a lot of channel points on that player.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a very strong player. Couple that with the fact that he's back. He's been practicing for the Winter Championship. He hasn't won a Winter Championship before. He took out Impala. There's so many things looking good for Sandstorm, but at the end of the day, this is game 5. Raydish just has to get through 3 stocks to halt Sandstorm's run.
And we're going back to small Brawlhalla. Now, one thing about this map, I think it benefited Sandstorm maybe a little bit more than Raydish at the end. Not just because Sandstorm won, but if we look at the damage that Sandstorm dealt, it was 525. Split that one in 2/3 for each stock, and that is 175 that he was finding KOs. That is pretty darn efficient considering you turn red at the very beginning at 150 damage. So he's like 1 or 2 hits past that, or probably just a signature, and that's doing the 25 damage after Raydish has turned red.
Yo, but the N-Sig from Raydish connects on that corner. Sandstorm went a little too close to the edge, and now Raydish is back on that orb, putting out those Hadoukens, just trying to cover that corner. Sandstorm does get back, side light, side air. Sandstorm yet to touch down. Raydish with the ground pound. He'll get the stock advantage.
Now, one thing Raydish did over on the left side when Sandstorm was on the wall that I don't remember seeing him do that often is he threw one Hadouken, but then he also threw a second one. I feel like the previous times we've seen him, it's only been like one Hadouken, but that time he changed it up, threw the second in case Sandstorm was like, okay, he threw out his one, I'm going to jump up now. He's so far back from the wall, there's nothing he can throw out. Now, for Sandstorm, he still didn't get hit by it, so it wasn't a successful engagement for Raydish, but you see the mix-up there on the corner guard.
Yeah, just trying to make sure the opponent can't get too relaxed, can't think that it's safe, even though you threw out one attack with recovery frames. Weapon toss comes out from Sandstorm. Raydish just picking away at him. Sandstorm again goes for that dash jump side air. Raydish is ready for it, gets him with a side air of his own, and he's adding up that damage. Hadouken doesn't go for the second.
Now, if a weapon spawn comes in, I'm not sure if Sandstorm will pick it up. Well, he definitely will now that he's unarmed. But last game, he almost did triple the damage on his spear that he did on Greatsword. Oh, he finally falls into that one, and it's in Game 5 to give Raydish a 2-stock lead here.
He is building that lead. He wants to get into the guaranteed top 3. He wants to go to the winner's final. He just needs to get through one more stock of Sandstorm, but Sandstorm was so close to bringing back a 3-stock earlier, he might do it again. He's got the spear.
Going to be able to spend some serious time on this weapon for the beginning stock of Raydish. He's going to have to find that amazing neutral. He started off there with a nice 3-piece, didn't get hit yet. Still fresh. Now we just took 2.
Just a 2-piece from Raydish. Downlight and Nair. Downlight Nair again. Doesn't hit the side air. Sandstorm keeping the pressure going. He really likes to utilize those weapon tosses to keep that engagement going. There's another weapon toss, keeping Raydish on his toes. Pogo, Nair, trading back and forth, but Raydish has not hit Sandstorm for a hot minute, but there's 2.
The damage output from Sandstorm is good.
Oh, he's going low.
But the
No
damage
dare?
output from Raydish is also really good. So even though like the rate is probably higher on Sandstorm right now, he has to still put out like 4 times as much damage.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Sandstorm has 1 stock to get through 3 of Raydish's. He's gone through 2 so far, but a side air, and Raydish closes it out. 3-2 over Sandstorm. He's going to the winner's final.
Great work from Raydish there to take it out. What a huge opening in the final game. That's like one of those things where we'll see like a 2-1, or no, we'll see a 2-0, and then of like a great player who has the 2, and then like a good player who has the O. And then like in that game 3, maybe the O player takes it, but then that very next game, that game 4, the like quote-unquote great player, the quote better player, they just completely destroy them. That happened this game, but Sandstorm was not the quote-unquote great player, better player there. In this case, it was Raydish.
Yeah, Raydish, I mean,